You're sitting in seat 42A, 38,000 feet above the Atlantic. Outside your window, a wing. A massive, slightly curved piece of metal, just sitting there. You've never once thought about what's inside it. You should. Because right now, you're sitting next to more than 250 tons of jet fuel, and almost none of it is in a tank. Think about what that actually means for a second. The A380 is the largest passenger plane ever built. It weighs, fully loaded, about the same as 575 average American cars stacked on top of each other. And it needs more than 320,000 liters of fuel to fly from Dubai to Auckland. That's one flight. Now, where do you put all of that? Your first instinct is probably somewhere in the belly. Some big tank underneath the seats, maybe bolted to the fuselage somewhere. That's where tanks go. Tanks are heavy, so you keep them low and central. Except that's not what Airbus did. They put the fuel inside the wings themselves. Not in containers attached to the wings, not in pods hanging underneath. Inside the wing structure. The metal skeleton of the wing, the spars, the ribs, the skin panels, that is the tank. Sealed with an industrial sealant along every single seam and rivet, and then filled with kerosene. The wing isn't carrying a tank, the wing is the tank. And that's just the beginning of how strange this gets. Here's the thing nobody tells you. The fuel isn't just stored in the wings, it's actively doing physics work. The weight of that fuel is what makes the wing survivable. Act 1. The bending problem. To understand why, you need to understand the most brutal problem in commercial aviation engineering: what lift does to a wing. When a plane flies, air moves faster over the top of the wing than the bottom. That difference in pressure creates lift. It pushes the wing upward, which is exactly what you want. Except pushing the wing upward doesn't mean pushing the whole wing evenly. The lift acts mainly on the outer sections, the tips, the edges. But the wing is bolted to the fuselage at the root. So what you have is a massive lever being pried upward from the outside while it's anchored in the middle. Engineers call this the bending moment, and it is the central structural challenge of every wing ever built. Now imagine doing that at scale. The A380's wingspan is nearly 80 meters, wider than a 737 is long. During takeoff, the lift force is so massive that the wingtips bend upward by over 4 meters. 4 meters! That's like the wing growing an extra floor while you're watching it. And the stress that creates at the wing root, the point where the wing meets the fuselage, is enormous. That stress determines how thick and heavy the wing structure needs to be to survive without cracking, which directly determines the weight of the aircraft, which determines how much fuel you need, which determines how far you can fly. This is the chain, and it starts with bending. Here's what makes the A380 solution genuinely surprising. The engineers realized they had 250 tons of fuel that they needed to carry anyway. And they realized that if you put that weight in the outer sections of the wing, exactly where the lift is trying to bend the structure upward, the fuel acts as a counterweight. It pushes down, the lift pushes up. They partially cancel each other out. Less net force on the wing root, less stress, less structure needed to survive it, which means a lighter wing. The fuel isn't dead weight, it's a structural solution. Act 2. The fuel system that thinks. But here's where it gets genuinely complicated, because you can't just leave all the fuel in the outer wing tanks the whole time. On the ground, before takeoff, the A380 has 4 massive engines hanging off those wings. That weight, combined with a full outer tank, would bend the wings downward beyond safe limits. So engineers deliberately leave the outer tanks partially empty before takeoff. The weight stays inboard. The wings stay level. Then the wheels leave the ground. The moment the A380 becomes airborne, an automated system kicks in. It starts pumping fuel from the inner tanks out to the outer tanks. The outer wings fill up. Their weight now counteracts the lift that's trying to bend the wing upward. Stress on the wing root drops. Meanwhile, a completely separate system is managing something else: the aircraft's center of gravity. The A380's wings are swept back at 33 degrees. That angle means that as fuel burns off during a flight, The center of gravity doesn't just shift forward or backward neatly. It drifts. Left uncorrected, that drift forces the tail to work harder to keep the plane level. The tail pushing down creates drag. Drag burns more fuel. So Airbus built a trim tank, not in the wing, in the horizontal stabilizer at the tail of the aircraft. During cruise, the fuel management system pumps fuel backward into that tail tank. It shifts the center of gravity aft to the optimal position. The tail now has to push down less drag, better efficiency, more range. And then, as the plane descends, the whole sequence runs in reverse. Fuel is pumped back out of the tail tank and into the wing tanks. The center of gravity shifts forward. The aircraft is balanced for landing. This is happening automatically, continuously, across 11 tanks, 21 pumps, and 43 valves, the entire flight. Here's the number that should stop you. By managing fuel this way, using its weight strategically rather than just storing it, Airbus engineers were able to build the A380 wing more than 2.5 tons lighter than it would have been otherwise. 2.5 tons. Saved. Because fuel isn't just fuel, it's ballast. Act 3. The hidden costs. There's one more piece to this that nobody talks about. The wet wing design, the wing is the tank, creates a maintenance problem that aviation engineers have been quietly dealing with for decades. Every time the wing flexes, and on the A380, that's constantly and aggressively, the sealant along the internal seams gets stressed. Over thousands of cycles, it cracks. And when it cracks, the tank leaks. Fuel leaks aren't catastrophic in the way that sounds. The wing structure contains the leak locally, and there are multiple redundancies. But resealing a commercial aircraft wing is an enormously complex, time-consuming operation. You drain the tank, you send technicians physically inside the wing. Yes, humans crawl through access panels into the sealed interior of these wings, and you reseal by hand. That complexity is part of why the A380 ended up being so expensive to operate. The engineering brilliance of using fuel as a structural tool came with a maintenance bill that, over decades, added up. It's the central tension of the entire aircraft. The same design choice that made the wing lighter and the plane more efficient also made it harder and more expensive to maintain. Genius and liability. Same decision. So next time you're on a long-haul flight and you look out the window, you're not just watching a wing. You're watching a structural engineer's solution to one of the hardest problems in physics. A lever being counterbalanced in real time. A tank that doubles as a skeleton. A fuel management computer running 11 tanks and 21 pumps continuously, keeping 575 tons of aircraft balanced and efficient across 17 hours of flight. The fuel is not a passenger on this trip. It's doing a job the whole way.